And Femi, why don't you make me co-host so if
Uh,
people come in, I can let them in.
all right, I'll do that just now. All right, let's go. I think you should. I think you should be able to be a co-host right now. Are you already a host now, Dr. C?
No, I don't see anything that lets me, but that's okay. Maybe we
All
should
right.
move on.
Okay, yeah. So we want to welcome everyone for being part of the third webinar, which uh, we're actually focusing on what to do with your data sets, what to do with your data. And I'm going to start by giving us a very quick, brief background. I have been working with Globe Nigeria for almost a decade, and one of the problems that we did encounter was pulling the data. A lot of data were collected from all the various schools, scientists, citizen scientists, but we had a problem of putting all these data sets on the Globe database. And that became a very huge problem. And one of the reasons why I'm emphasizing this is that the topic we're looking at today is extremely important to us. It's extremely important to everyone, Globe teachers, scientists, citizen scientists, because every data we collect means a lot to us in Globe, as well as in the Globe mission head. All right, so I'm just going to quickly flip through the PowerPoint so that we will have a quick understanding of what we'll be looking at today. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, you can put that in the chat box. We would like to know the location of all our participants, where you are joining us from, to wherever you may be. We'd like to know your location. We'd like to know your temperature for the day, talking about the ambient temperature for the day. And would like to know your Globe affiliation. Maybe you are a Globe teacher, Globe scientist. You might want to put that in the chat box for us to see. We'd like to know the spread that we have tonight. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to flip through the next slide. So today, the objective of this webinar is to highlight different ways of entering the data you've collected, visualizing them and interpreting some of the Globe data that you folks have collected during this intensive observation period. And I'll just go straight to the next slide. This is just a quick overview of today's talk. This is just a quick overview. Talk briefly about the introduction. We talk about the sources of Globe data, and we look at the data entry in Globe, and we look at those channels, data entry channels. Then we are also going to hear from our speakers tonight, wherever you may be. I know some countries now, they are now in the night, in the evening. So we hear from, basically I'll give a very short introductory talk on the Globe data entry and some manipulation. In other words, when you have your data, you are not expected to leave your data fallow. Data collected without entering them on the Globe database is not that useful to scientists teachers all over the world. So we're encouraging you that once your data is collected, once you have collected your data, the goal is not achieved until you push them to the Globe database. Shortly after that, I also have my boss here, Dr. C, is the PI of the Globe Mission Head. He will also give us a quick talk on the data collected during the Urbani Thailand and this intensive observation period. It's just going to be a synoptic view of this data set. Then we'll also hear from one of our Globe teachers, Jim Les, which is going to share the data cookbook he has prepared. And so we also hear from him. Then we'll have time to take questions and responses from all our participants. All right. So don't forget, we'd like to know your location where you're joining us right now and the ambient temperature for the day where you're joining us from and your affiliation, your global affiliation. All right, I'll move straight to the next slide. In the GLOBE program, we talk about data. And in GLOBE program, we define data as an environmental observations or scientific measurement collected by students, teachers, citizen scientists all over the world. And this data means so much to us in GLOBE. And we have different investigation, we have different areas of investigations in GLOBE. You know, atmosphere, biosphere, pedosphere, as well as hydrosphere. All these are 4 investigation areas of GLOBE. And teachers, trained or untrained, many of them have been collecting data from these spheres. That data is very, very important to us in GLOBE. And I just quickly talk about data sources in GLOBE. One of the vital sources of data in GLOBE is that data comes from participating countries. We have over 127 countries that are part of GLOBE program, and data comes from teachers, students, citizen scientists across all these 127 GLOBE countries of the world. And processing and interpretation of all these information is not an easy task. We believe that it's a very crucial effort that teachers, scientists, and students must have a proper understanding of how to enter their data sets on the GLOBE database during this period. So I'm going to switch over to live live demonstration of what I want to share with us tonight. Right. I have some participants, and I'm quickly taking them in. All right, so I'm going to go straight to data entry section in GLOBE. When you
might have to, Femi, probably unshare and then share again because you're just showing your slides right now.
All right. Yeah, so I'm going to just take this people here. Okay, let me share my screen right now. All right. So let's start from globe data entry. I'll just quickly go straight to www.globe.gov, which many of us are familiar with. All right, and it comes to under globe data section from the menu page, the home landing page. And here it is possible for you to actually visualize data that some other people have collected from all over the globe countries of the world. You click on Globe Visualization Systems, which you can find under vis.globe.gov. And these are different icons, which the first one points you to different protocols, talking about different investigation areas which you might be interested in. For instance, I want to look at atmosphere. Then I might want to look at surface temperature, for example. I might want to look at the average surface temperature. Let's look at what surface temperature, the data they have collected for today all over the world. All right, I'm gonna go in. Let me quickly check these people in. All right. As you can see, let me go straight to behind. Let's look at the 1st of April. All right. All right. So today we have data collected here. This is a data point. It's possible for you to look at. We have different icons. You might want to look at the data count, the school where the data was collected. You might want to have a quick look at the site info, which all these things gives us a descriptive information about the data collected under the atmosphere protocol. You might want to have a quick look of the data set. You might want to have a look and see how the temperature varies across the specific site. I might want to go back a bit. All right. Yeah, so you might also want to look at you might want to take a look at the CSV file for each observation unit. If I click on this, that takes me to the CSV data for this particular observation site. All right, we have to go very fast today. All right, I might also want to look at filter. Under this filter, you can actually look at the data set across different observation points. Let's quickly go straight here. All right, under the data entry section, there are different channels by which we can enter a data set in the globe page. I'm just quickly gonna go straight to just show us a quick overview of how we can do that. Like I said earlier, one of the problems that I encountered when I was working as a scientist, globe scientist in Nigeria, is that some of the data we collected over time, many of them are not entered into the database, and that became a very huge problem. And one of the specific goals of this webinar is to encourage teachers to encourage teachers to not only to collect data sets during this observation period, but to make sure that their data counts. All right. We have different data entry channels. I'm just going to flip by looking through the first one so that I can have more time for Dr. C to talk briefly about the data sets collected during this observation period. So we have different channels. I just want to click on the first one. This is the globe entry, the first globe entry channel. You might want to come here and click on new observation. We have different investigation areas depending on the specific investigation you want to do. For instance, like me, I had a couple of data which I want to enter into the globe database. You might just have to come here. Let me see how I can quickly take these people in. All right. All right, so I come under surface temperature, then I click continue. In my own, you have seen my page right now. I've already grouped all my data points into different categories. Under the science working group, I have some of the data sets, some of my data observation site under that science working group. And here I have a data points in my compound right in Moline in Toledo, Ohio. I also have data points for my department, which I've taken some data sets at the University of Toledo, precisely Department of Geography and Planning, and my building is Snyder Memorial. So I've taken some data sets on the parking lot. So you might want to enter the diameter of the location where you are taking the data set. I will have to be very fast because we have a couple of things to talk about. You might want to select the instrument type you're using, and you go straight, you indicate the date, the time, and the surface temperature observation. And here you have to enter the overall surface condition where you're actually taking observation. You have to do that. Like the data set I have with me was taken during the summer period, so the surface condition is expected to be dry. And here I have, this data was actually taken from my compound in Toledo, Ohio. So I have 10.5 as first observation Celsius. Then you click on the next. 8.7. I have to take this people. All right. And the third observation that I have here is 9.0 Celsius. The fourth observation, 8.6. The fifth observation, 7.7. The sixth observation, 9.0, 9.9. 8.9. And the last one, it's 1.7. All right. So where you are expected to take 9 observations, and in most situations, some people will find the average. So 8.9. Then review it. You might want to put comments, to talk more briefly about the description of your area, and you send the observations right directly to the globe database. So that's another channel by which you can, send out your data set to the globe database. Still sending, successful. So that data I've actually sent the data to the globe database. Another channel might be if you want to actually retrieve data using the ADAT channel, that's also possible. You might just want to click on the ADAT section. You click on entering data access tool, which takes you to an area where you can actually look for specific protocol that you are interested in. You might want to look at air temperature. You might want to set the date range, which is also very, very important. All these tutorials can also be found on the Globe database. I'm only just giving us a live, demonstration of how you can do that. I'm going to go ahead to mute. I can hear some noises on that sound.
Kí ni globe náà ṣe ń bí o globe orí globe ìbanilọ́wọ́ òfin.
Femi, you muted yourself. We can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now? All right.
Yes, we can hear
So
you.
you can, after picking the specific protocol that you are interested in, you can also go under the date range to actually filter the specific date range that you are interested in. I might want to move up a bit. Look at what I have here. All right. So let's look at what we have here. Might want to look at filter the specific. Right. So I might want to look at these are very huge. I'm actually looking at huge protocols here, but it's also possible for you to choose a specific protocol. For instance, maybe air temperature, daily air temperature. You might want to look at land cover, depending on your interest. All right, and we also have other filters. You might want to add country-based filter. If you are interested in a particular country, you might also want to do that. And you look at the summary. I have to take this person. All right, you load the data. Let me clear my. So I selected so much protocols. I might want to limit them to specific.
Yeah, I think you're breaking the system by choosing too many.
Yeah, so you might want to just I might just want to look at cloud. All right. Let me clear the ones I have. So you might just want to look at clouds only. Selected it. Look at the date range. Might want to get it close. Add the filter, and you might want to load. Oh, I need to go back a bit. All right. You might want to update it.
Yeah, I think you have to click on apply filter before you load.
Yeah.
That's where you're running into problems here.
Yeah. All right. I wouldn't like that to take much of our time. But let me just go to another page. The most interesting thing is that there are specific tutorials attached to some of these channels of pulling out data from the Globe database. So, which I'm going to share some of the links to this channel in my PowerPoint, and I can share that in the chat box. You might want to look at air temperature. Let's take, for instance, look at the date range. The filter. The filter. All right. I think I should be preparing for Dr. C to share some of his
Sure.
snapshot of the data that student teachers and citizen scientists have collected across the world.
One of the challenge with air temperature is there's a lot of data,
Yeah,
especially from the automated weather stations, and therefore it takes a long time to load.
to load. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might just want to pause that. But I'm going to share some of the links to see over 6,000 sites
There you
found.
go.
We are just going to pause there. I'm going to share some of the links to several educational resources, tutorials that will be very helpful when you want to look at and want to make use of ADAT and some other channels of having access to the globe data entry. All right, I'm going to switch over to the next speaker, which is going to be Dr. C. He will just quickly give us a snapshot of some of the data sets that has been collected across the world during this UHI-IOP period. Over to you, Dr. C.
All right. Thanks, Femi. Do you guys see my screen now?
Yes, Dr. C.
All right, great. So, right, we're wrapping up the Urban Heat Island intensive observation period for the year. So I thought I'd share a few things about the campaign, but I wanted to give you a little historical perspective. And this is me in 1999. So 26 years ago, I was using a custom infrared thermometer. It cost $3,000 at the time. So now it would be, I don't know, $8,000. And we were in Oklahoma, a graduate student myself, taking observations. We were in a field with bulls, which was very exciting. Although they more or less left us alone, which is nice. This campaign, it was the Southern Great Plains 1999 SGP-99 experiment for NASA. It led to the SMAP satellite, the soil moisture active passive. I know, Femi, you were very much involved with SMAP, I believe, in Nigeria and doing soil moisture. So this was the precursor 26 years ago to that satellite. So then what we did was we worked on developing the surface temperature campaign protocol for Globe. And this was the first time it was tested out. It was 2002. Students from Toledo, from Central Catholic High School, came on a January day. It had snowed about 8 inches the night before. It was a Saturday. We went into the University of Toledo Arboretum, and they measure temperature of things, including here's a tree, a pine tree. They're measuring the temperature of that, and they took snow samples. We wanted to see how the snow impacted the surface temperature. So, and Mike Headley was the teacher. She worked for me after this, after she retired from teaching. Now she has since passed away, which is unfortunate, but it was great having her come out. Now, I didn't go back to 2002 in the Globe database. I only went back to 2014. I looked at how much data has been collected and how has it changed over time. And you see on the one graph, these are the number of observations of surface temperature. We kind of look at the Urban Heat Island as a surface temperature campaign. You can see it started out 2014, there's only 2,000 observations taken worldwide. So you think about, that's coming from 2002 to 2014. It was still pretty small, but then it started really picking up pace and became more important. By 2019, that was our peak in observations. What's really interesting, if you look at the number of sites, it was less than 200 in 2014. 2019, it was a little over 500. But then there was a big jump in 2021. And what that was that's when surface temperature and all the atmosphere protocols were put on the app for your phone. And that allowed people to do it more easily out in the field. And so many more sites were developed then. But you can see after 2021, the number of sites has decreased, created per year, observations per year. Now the observations went up a bit to 2023 and then down in 2024. We actually had a down year in 2024. I of course, have not looked at 2025 yet. So I think this is a good sense of there's a lot of data out there for surface temperature around the world. And as Femi was saying, though, one of the big, uh, I guess, challenges is that people don't put their data in. They take observations, but they don't put them in. Here's a mention of our program, our project called Globe Mission Earth. It's funded by NASA, and this is part of what Femi, his assistantship is through this program, and it helps us out. And then this is our reach in the United States. So this is all the places we work with in the United States. I saw um, David Paget from Tennessee State. He was online on this meeting. I'm not sure who else was here, but I just wanted to share. So here's data for 5 years of data from the urban heat island surface temperature intensive observation period. It was a campaign observation period up through that was 2024. I did not update it for this year, but you can see United States coverage, Alaska, Central America, South America, including Brazil, Nigeria, well represented with observations from there, Europe, Ireland, Malta, where my father-in-law is from Malta. So we have a connection there. Estonia has taken a lot of observations, Croatia, Israel, Saudi Arabia has been very active, India, Thailand, and Taiwan. Those are kind of all the different countries. So data can be done, looked at from all these different countries for the urban heat island. And then the other thing you can add through Globe is the MODIS Terra and Aqua data, land surface temperature, LST. And this is what this image shows. So the satellite data coming from the satellite is only where there are not clouds. If there are clouds, that's where the white is. And then the temperatures down here on the legend. See, most of the values are yellow. On this particular day, it was April 8th last year. Some colder in the mountains in Colorado and California, but pretty much every place was about the same temperature on this particular day from the satellite. But you see the student data. Well, this was the solar eclipse, right? Last year, solar eclipse that went across the United States. You can see how some of the student data is much warmer than the satellite observed, but some is actually the same. That's another data set could add. Now, I got some data from Derwin. He's a teacher for a school near Atlanta, and he works with David Paget from Tennessee State. And he took observations, him and the students, of concrete, asphalt, and their tennis court. And you can see the average values here. The tennis court was the warmest at 29 degrees Celsius, with the concrete being the coolest. Now, when I was 10, my brothers and I, on a hot summer day, we rode our bicycles to the local school to play tennis. It was a black asphalt tennis court. And I didn't feel so good after playing for a while, so I decided I'm going to ride my bike home. Well, I didn't make it home. I passed out on the side of the road, and my mom found me and brought me home, and put the cold compresses on my head. We in that time you didn't take your kids to the hospital. That was you just treat them at home. So yeah, tennis courts can be very, very hot. Now this is a time series Derwin has. You can see values they have around 60 degrees Celsius, so quite hot. This was in August last year. Then it cooled down through December, and it started to warm up again through April, but not nearly as warm as this last year in May, June, July timeframe was very, very hot. I'll just highlight a few projects that students have done over the years. And these students from Dominican Republic, they looked at the temperature of the playground, which was asphalt, and Dominican Republic is a very hot tropical country. They painted their playground green, and they found that was the coolest color. Here's a project with Malta. So Ramona has led different projects in Malta for Urban Heat Island, had the students involved. You see they're using the infrared thermometers here. These are more expensive ones. Now there's cheaper ones you can get from Tech City, and et cetera. Now they did a project with Ireland and Israel, the three countries that all shared. These were all schools. Each dot was a school. It was really, really impressive, the number of schools involved. All right, so Ireland. In Israel, this was in March, they measured a surface temperature on artificial turf of 70 degrees Celsius. Just shows you how the football fields are very, very hot. So, playgrounds that are not grass, artificial turf, are very hot for our kids. Now, I'll highlight one last thing here is in Toledo, we've done a project with the city. So they're interested in urban heat island and they've measured it and mapped it. And Beatrice was the person doing that. So I want to stop there with my part of the presentation, just showing you some data that's been collected, analyzing the data, and some more city projects or country projects that can be done.
All right, Dr. C, thank you so much for that brilliant talk. We will quickly move to the next speaker. And our next speaker, let me quickly share my screen. I will have to introduce him. We've been working together for a couple of years. Yeah, so I'll just quickly introduce him right now. All right, so our next speaker will be Jim Les. Jim Les has been a science teacher since 2011 and has taught middle school and high school students at Beverly Old Ford Lake High School, St. Andrew in Cape Coast, Florida, and most recently at St. Rose in Perrysburg, Ohio. That's just about 20 minutes away from my home. All right, prior to becoming a teacher, Mr. Les worked in the environmental health and safety field at engineering consulting firm at David Bessel Nuclear Power Station. Mr. Les has been an active member with Globe and Globe Mission Earth since 2015. That was a long time. And he has integrated many of the Globe protocols into his science curriculum. This past year, Mr. Les has participated in the NASA Engage cohort, and his students will be publishing their nature notes and presenting their project during the upcoming virtual science research symposium. When he's teaching, Jim enjoys spending time with family. When he's not teaching, right? When he's not teaching, he enjoys being with family, friends, and he also re-energizes with runs in Toledo Metro Park. I have an honor this evening to introduce to you Jim Les. Over to you, Jim.
Okay, thank you, Femi, for the introduction, and it's my pleasure to be here. And thank you for inviting me. Like Femi said, I'm a middle school science teacher. I've been involved with Globe for a long time, almost 10 years now, I think. And started with a seminar or workshop that Kevin put on at UT. I think it was one of the first Mission Earth cohorts, and I fell in love with it and have been using it with my students ever since. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you see me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. So I guess I was going to talk to you a little bit about my experience with the students, especially with the surface temperature measurements. So the first thing that I guess I will share is beginning of the school year, I will go to Globe and I'll set up student accounts, probably about maybe 10 or so student accounts, and have the NASA generate the password and usernames. And I'll print them up on a piece of paper and laminate them. And I use them then throughout the year. So before we even go outside, I want to make sure that the students can get on their iPads and get logged in. Okay, because their first instinct is to either use their school email or whatnot. So once they're logged in the first time, a lot of them stay logged in, but not always. So throughout the year, the first thing before we go outside is I will have students check, just make sure that they are connected and that they can get on the Globe Observer. So um, that saves a lot of aggravation once we're out in the field. If we just spend a few minutes in the class doing that. We do almost, we're lucky at this school and then at the school I was before. So I was in Cape Coral for about 6 years. The students, it was one-to-one iPads. So each student had their own iPad and they each had the Globe app, the Globe Observer app uploaded to it. So that was interesting, Kevin, the chart you showed with the bump in sites, because I can remember when we first started doing Globe 10 years ago, the Globe Observer really wasn't around and it was a lot more cumbersome. We had to take paper out and then record our results, and then somebody had to go in and log in and put the data in. And it really did. I can see why a lot of people didn't put their data in. But with the Globe Observer, students just, it's so easy to collect the data and enter the data while we're out in the field. And if we are close enough to the building and have an internet connection, we can send it. But usually we have to wait till we come back to the classroom to send the data. But we do the Globe Observer for all of our surface temperature, and usually we'll bundle it with other other protocols. The cloud protocols go well together, and the weather, like we have little handheld weather meters where we can measure air temperature and relative humidity and barometric pressure. So we'll sometimes bundle those measurements. And when I have a group of students, I usually will assign tasks. So like maybe they'll work in a group of four, and one person in that group would be responsible for the cloud observations, one person for the surface temp, and another person for the weather measurements, and then so it's just so somebody's got so they're not all doing the same thing, and everybody stays busy. But it's kids love going out and what and doing the globe. So I'm definitely have had a lot of good experience using it with the students over the years. The other thing that I think is really nice, especially with the surface temperature, but really almost any of the protocols, is that if we have just maybe 10 or 15 minutes where we have some time, that maybe done with something early, or there's just a block of time. It's easy to go out and quickly take surface temperature measurements and then and send them to Globe. So so anyways, I think the Globe Observers are great to use, and I think checking that the kids can log in and that they're logged in is helpful. One of the things I will say that is a limitation for us at St. Rose is, and this is just our school policy. I'm going to try to change it for next year, but the school has a policy where they do not let the kids have access to the camera on their iPads, at least on a general rule. So they will open up the cameras to use for Globe, but I have to notify the IT person in advance, and sometimes I forget to do that. So, like for example, last week, Sarah Mirzak was out and we were doing some observations, and the kids didn't have their camera accessible, so that limits some of the observations. So, I do need to get that issue addressed, especially for next year. Um, the 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 let's see what else. I guess, and I'm not sure, Femi, when you made your agenda, you said I was going to do a cookbook. I'm not sure what you mean by a cookbook, but I will share something that I share with the students.
All right.
Unless
Yeah.
there's something specifically you have in mind.
Yeah. So Sarah actually shared one of the resources we developed over time. Um, Something like a tutorial that we developed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay,
that's
I know what you
a
mean.
cookbook,
It's
right?
yeah, okay. So I'll can I share my
Yeah.
screen?
Go ahead. You should be able to do that.
Okay. With the share button? Okay.
Yes.
Um okay, I'm sorry. I might have to go to system settings. Let's see.
Yeah. There is an arrow up in
Okay. So
thing.
I'll allow Zoom. Zoom may not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit. So I have a message says Zoom may not be able to record the contents of your screen until it is quit. You can choose to quit Zoom now and do it on your own later. So what would you suggest to um
So I think when you click on the share button, it should take you straight to sharing template.
okay, I'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try. Uh um,
All right. Here we
okay. Is it so this is my screen shared?
Yeah, we can see our screen.
Okay, good. So let me open up um the document, and I will try to. Uh, okay, so this is the document that Femi was referring to as
Yeah.
as the cookbook, and I prepared this because for middle school students, the I thought I wanted them to be able to go to the visualization system to see their data and to retrieve the data and use it, and we did some student reports using Globe data, some that they collected, some that other people collected. Is that okay? Yeah, she's good. Yeah, she's good. So to help them, I put this tutorial, and then it really is pretty easy to follow. But if you'd like, I can share a link to this in the comments.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
maybe
Yeah.
then it would be accessible to other people if they would like to use it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get that let me get that link shared just a second. Um, okay, and I will put it in the chat right now.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, and these were prepared for middle school students, but anybody can use them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Okay, sure. And if you'd like, we can walk through them. Would that be helpful, or do you think
Yeah, so
okay?
that can be done maybe in the next 6 to 7 minutes. That'll be fine.
Okay, so yes, I'll go back and forth. Okay, so you go to the globe.gov website and go to data visualization or globe data, and it's a little bit different on the laptop than it is on the iPad. So I since the students use the iPad, it's kind of with screenshots from the iPad. But anyways, we go through and then on the instructions, I'm just trying to do it in order. So the first thing they do is just figure out how to get into the visualization system. Okay, which once you do it once, it's pretty easy. And then we talk about, and actually, once they do this once or twice, they don't need the instructions anymore because it is pretty simple. But the biggest problem we had was when they would get the map loaded, they would use their fingers to zoom in and out, and then that would, I think, because there's so much data, it would lock it up. So I have them use the plus and minus to navigate, and that seems to help that problem. But then I direct them to go to the protocol, to the stacks of paper, and pick their protocol. So since this is the surface temperature campaign, we'll look at surface temperature and we'll scroll down. Okay, and submit it. And I think it looks like somebody in the area did surface temperature today. Um, the last time we did, I think, was earlier in the month, but I want to say April. I think it was April 7th. We'll see. Nope, maybe it was April 9th. Okay. We might have to change the date. Um, and so I have the arrow pointing to the date. So the date that we were doing the data or collecting the data. And then I talk about filtering. So we can filter for our specific location and just to show how, okay, so we can find our school. I'll just type in our school name. And there's different sites. So for the surface temperature, we either do the grassy hill out back or the parking lot. And I'll submit that. And show them how this works. And how we can go for the past month, or we can go the past year, or we can pick custom dates. Okay, and then I showed them, or the instructions show how to access the table, and then they can use the table to retrieve data that we collected in the past for their reports. Mm. Okay, okay, we also talk about that you can click on an icon for an area. So one of the things I will have them do sometimes is compare our location with another location around the world that's at the same latitude or the same longitude and see how that varies. Okay, so oh, and the other thing that you have to remind the students about, and I do in this instruction, is the fact that the globe data is in universal time. So we review that universal time is the time at Greenwich, England, at the prime meridian. And it's depending on whether we're in daylight savings or Eastern Standard Time, we have to add 4 hours or 5 hours. So 4 hours for now. But yeah, so anyways, so this instruction, I think it's a useful resource. Um, and it did help me to teach the students how to use the visualization system. Um, the other thing that I thought was interesting is that when you look at clouds, I think, let me see if I can remember. There is a way to get the satellite data as well.
Yeah, it's on the photo section.
Yeah. So, um, but I don't seem to be getting that right now. Okay, well, anyways, I don't know if that's helpful or not.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Then I'm not sure. I guess we're almost out of time.
Yeah,
So
so I think we had just have a couple of like
yeah.
four more minutes to wrap up. Right. Yeah. Are you sharing something, Gene?
No, I just turned it off.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
sorry.
Jim. That was a very, very wonderful presentation. That was a wonderful talk, and
Okay, thank you.
I'm just, it's just good to hear directly from someone who has been working with students for a couple of years. And I must tell you, when I looked through the tutorial, the cookbook you developed, that looks so simple and concise. So, with your permission, I will be able to share it with some of the
Yeah,
participants.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they can, share it with some of their students and have an idea of what you're talking about. All right, we have about just 3 minutes to round up. I just want to thank everyone, for the privilege to be here. I can see, participants um, across Africa, United States, and even South America. So it's a wonderful spread that we have this evening, and I want to thank you for for the opportunity to be part of this webinar. And someone asked a question. The recordings will definitely be shared with all the participants. And I think the recording will also be shared with the Globe help desk. And I think in one of the newsletters, they will share the links across all the Globe community members to have access to. We want to thank you, Jim. It's such a real privilege to have you here. And I want to say thank you for that. All right. At this junction, we will be wrapping everything up. If you have questions, feel free to send me questions. I could see someone raising up his hand. Erase it. You have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, please.
Yes, I have a question. You just cleared it.
Okay, Erase, you know what? I'm having troubles hearing you clearly. Erase, I'm finding. Okay. Erase it. Do you want to put your question in the chat box for us? I'm finding it difficult to hear you clearly. All right. All right. Erase, can you hear me loud and clear?
So since you said it will be available, can you hear me now?
Yeah, so
let me do that.
Actually losing your voice. I can hardly hear you. And I know
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
will put the question in the
chat box. That would be very great. You could put the question in the chat box, but I could hear something like recordings. The recordings will be available as I've mentioned earlier, and so you won't have any troubles for that. All right, our time is fast spent. I think at this junction we would like to close the webinar for today, and this is going to be the last webinar for the UHI-IOP section. Thank you all for calling in. We're extremely grateful. In the Globe Mission Health, we're extremely grateful. And I want to bring greetings from Dr. C and other folks from the Globe Mission Health. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I want to say bye, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Jim Les. Yeah. Bye.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Paget.